That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. It is Sports Talk Media Network, Monday after, host-free Monday night. We'll turn it over to you in just a couple of minutes, so go ahead and grab the lines. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery. Lucky number for Sports Talk. Phil Kornblut, Pat. Ernest Robinson here in our Columbia studios. Chris Bergen from the Berge Palace. Where else will you find a show where all four hosts were covering football games on Saturday? I was in Missouri. Pat, let me see the tan. Yep, you got something, brother. He was in Miami. Chris was in beautiful Jonesboro, Arkansas. That's really where I wanted to be, is Jonesboro, Arkansas, because who doesn't want to go to Jonesboro, Arkansas in October? And Ernest, you were up in Delaware with the Bulldogs. So two of you got to see W's, and two of us got to see big, old, fat, ugly L's. And I imagine most people calling in tonight want to talk about those big, old, fat, ugly L's taken by the Gamecocks and the Tigers. So we'll each talk about things briefly, and then we'll open up the phone lines, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to reach us here on Sports Talk. Since I'm already talking and my lips are loose, I'll go first. South Carolina has figured out now both ways to lose football games. Blow a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter, or build a 24-0 deficit, or whatever it was, 21-0, 24-0 deficit in the first half, and then try and fight your way back by kicking field goals. I don't necessarily disagree with kicking those at those particular moments, because Shane Beamer was trying to keep it within a two-score. He finally got the Gamecocks on the board, kicking field goals, and he's tried a lot to come up short. The field goals, he took the points. It had the Gamecocks to within two scores on their last important possession, which ended with an interception down the field. That pretty much killed it for them there. But all that being said, disappointing the way, well, when you think about it, they actually came out, they got a stop on their first possession for Missouri, and then the Gamecocks drove the ball down the field, but couldn't capitalize and missed a field goal. And then they couldn't stop Missouri. Missouri looked really good. Boy, I was focused on their offensive line. Their offensive line looked like a really good unit. The things they were doing up front, scheming the Gamecocks and running different looks up front and blocking the Gamecocks and opening up running room for their Division II running back Schroeder, who ran very well and had a big day running the football. Cook had a decent day throwing it. And their receivers, they had a couple of receivers have some big days, and they had some big plays down the field. Missouri had a number of big plays down the field. So all that being said, when you wrap it up, it was not a good performance by the Gamecocks from start to finish. A lot of different areas of concern, offense, defense, and special teams, and injuries. Throw that in there as well. The injuries continue to pile up. Now Xavier Leggett is dealing with an injury that's an upper body injury that has made him questionable for this week's game at Texas A&M. So the Gamecocks are in a deep hole now. They're in a deep, deep hole that it will take a miracle to climb out of. The only saving grace for them is that if they lose to Texas A&M this weekend and they're 2-touchdown underdogs, they've got all of November at home to get back to 500, to get to 6-6. They've got something to play for. There's a carrot dangling in front of their face, and that is 6 wins and a bowl trip. Lousy as it might be, it is a bowl trip. And they'll have those 4 games. None of those teams coming to Columbia in November are not beatable by South Carolina. That includes Clemson, the last game of the regular season. So South Carolina still it's turning into a disappointing season. It kind of falls in line with year 3 for most Gamecock head coaches since 1960. As we pointed out, only 3 of them have had a winning season in their 3rd year. And after this season, a lot of heavy evaluation to be done by Shane Beamer about what they're doing and who they're doing it with, players and coaches, to try to figure it out to get them back on a winning track. Now, Pat, I can say for the Gamecocks, at least they didn't lose stupid at the end. Clemson gets the losing stupid at the end. Must be something about playing in Hard Rock Stadium there in Miami that makes, in this case, I'm not blaming the coach because they told Klubnik, hand the damn ball off. But I will say this, Pat. Clemson has this Rhino package that I've seen them run when they put Tyler Davis and Peter Woods in the game together as blocking backs and Phil Maffa in the backfield. And they usually get 1 or 2 yards. And when they're at the 1 yard line, they usually score. Why they did not go to that package at that time, number one, is my number one question. And my number two question, what in the world was Klubnik thinking, and why did he go against what his coaches said when they told him to hand the ball off to Shipley? Why did he try to make a play on his own? Now, sir, your turn.
First of all, how much time do I have, Phil?
You got 3 minutes.
Well, there's other things I'd like to discuss, but first I will answer your questions. The first of the two, several of us in the media were wanting to ask Dabo Swinney that question after the game, and I don't mean to throw shade here, the interview was cut off before some of us would have liked it to have been cut off. There were still many questions that several of us would have liked to have asked Dabo Swinney after the game, but I think the SIDs were doing their job, and they did a really fantastic job. They always do well up there at Clemson and at South Carolina, and I'm sure at Coastal, to protect the coach. You got to protect the coach. You got to protect the players. You got to protect the brand. But I think the hook might have been pulled a little quick in the postgame. I just want to throw that out there. To specifically answer your question, why – look, Shipley is the bell cow there. I get that. And maybe he – I'm trying to figure out how to best phrase this. He is the bell cow, but Phil Maffa is not only taller, but he's almost 30 pounds heavier than Will Shipley. And so you got to think, you already gave Shipley, on first down, he got a chance. Then on second down, Klubnik missed Tyler Brown kind of badly in the end zone. Third down, you gave it to Shipley again. Why not give Maffa a shot? Or to your point, why not bring in that package we used to see Christian Wilkins run so well and have maybe another big guy, another big ugly be the lead blocker there, act like a fullback? Why not even try that? Also, why do you have multiple receivers out wide to the right there on that last play? You're not even in a goal line formation. You have people spread out. Now, maybe you're doing that to keep some of those defenders away too, to try to keep the defense honest. But it was a little questionable. Don't mean to second-guess the coaching there, but can't help but do it a little bit. Why not at least try? Shipley already got stuffed, whatever. But then when you ask about the Cade Klubnik angle, can't help but wonder if there might be either a slight disconnect or maybe even trust issues between the coordinator or coaching staff and the player. He said that he did see something there. He, as in Cade Klubnik, saw, I don't remember the exact phrasing now, but I think he said he saw the ends pinching inwards, and he saw the backers coming up. So he did not feel as though there would be a gap there. He did not feel as though that he or Shipley would be able to get that yard. So he thought the best move was to go out wide. Klubnik did also mention that on the same play against Wake Forest a few weeks ago, he saw the same thing from the defense, decided to change it right there before the snap and go outside himself, and he scored a touchdown. So he had already had that success once. But then part of me wonders, and I could be way off base with this, is does Klubnik not fear for his job because the coaching staff has made it very apparent that Vizina, they would like to redshirt for next year. There's not a whole lot of depth there at quarterback with Uyunglele transferring out to Oregon State, and we're going to come back to him later because he is doing fantastic out at Oregon State. But if you are a quarterback and you worry about a decision like that potentially costing you your starting position, do you still make that move? But if you have no fear of losing your job, maybe you're a little more likely to take such a gutsy approach. I don't know. I don't know exactly. Now, props to Cade Klubnik after the game. There's no way he wanted to talk to us after the game. In media, we waited a good 30 minutes after the Dabo Swinney interview to be able to talk to Cade. kudos to him for coming out and taking it on the chin. He took all the questions in stride. He put the entire responsibility on his back. He didn't mention anything about coaches. He didn't mention anything about teammates. He completely took it himself. And just mad props to him for that after the game. But I'm sure that doesn't make Clemson fans feel any better, because he had similar things to say after other games this year, after the Florida State game, after the Duke game. Now, he is still young. He is still learning. And Coach Sweeney has pointed out multiple times throughout the year, there are going to be some growing pains. But it does just seem like this team not only finds new ways to lose, they also seem to keep making the same mistakes throughout the game. It's the red zone issues. The red zone has just been atrocious this year for the Tigers, both trying to get into the end zone and then as well as the kicking game has been a bit of an adventure. And also the turnovers. And the turnovers all seem to keep happening in the worst possible situations. Again, this time with Shipley, just fantastic play by the Miami defender, punching that ball out just before Shipley crossed the goal line. But that was huge. That was a very, very strong drive by the Tigers to come out and open the game, or second possession of the game, to then not be able to come away with anything and have Miami then go down the field the very next play and have an 80-yard touchdown run, where, again, it's worth pointing out, that running back also fumbled just before going into the end zone, but Miami was able to recover. Now, I know I'm probably already approaching or passing my 3-minute mark there. But a couple things I'd like to circle back to, if we can, is a few questions I'd like to throw out to you guys, but then also have my own feelings on. Did Dabo Sweeney, after the game, throw Cade Klubnik under the bus, or was Dabo just being brutally honest? Because I don't think we're accustomed to getting that level of honesty from the head coach, where he flat out said, I'll read the exact quote here, when he was asked about whether that was an RPO or what that, or if it was a design handoff or what on that final play, Dabo said, quote, no, it was a handoff, 100%, and we didn't hand it off. He just pulled it. I got no answer. Just trying to do too much. No RPO. It's a give. He just didn't do it. He made a lot of plays, but again, you got to play within the system. We liked the play that we had. We were trying to protect the edges. It's a give all the way. We just got about 1.5 yards on the previous play. We felt good about whatever it was. 5 inches, maybe. I don't have an answer. Now, even though he didn't directly say Klubnik's name there, he's very obviously talking about the quarterback, Cade Klubnik. Again, is that the coach throwing the player under the bus a bit, deflecting responsibility to the player, or is that simply a brutally honest answer from the head coach? And I would think we're probably going to have people taking either side on that. I don't really know which is the correct answer. The next thing I'd like to ask, and we can circle back to that, is in the postgame. Remember, this season, it's new for Clemson, at least under Dabo Sweeney. The offensive and defensive coordinators are no longer made available to the media after the game. Now, again, just like earlier, talking about the SID potentially ending the press conference a bit early so as to protect the coach, well, Dabo Sweeney is doing a good job there of trying to protect the coordinators. I think last year, at times, admittedly, some questions got a little rough there. People were a little maybe too over the line with both Streeter and with Goodwin last year after games. So this year, why put your coordinators out there? Why put them in the fire if they don't have to? But this sure would have been a great game to ask some questions after that game. It would have been very nice to ask Coach Riley his thoughts on that final play, as well as maybe his thoughts on that entire fourth quarter, because I already had my story written after 3 quarters. I thought the game, shame on me, I thought the game was pretty much over. The story seemed clear. And then in the fourth quarter, the script was completely flipped over on its head in the fourth quarter and overtimes. The Tigers had played sloppy football. They'd committed those costly turnovers again, but they had found a way to scratch and claw their way to a 10-point lead going into the fourth quarter. But then the wheels just fell off. I don't know how else you want to say it. In the fourth quarter, the Miami outgained Clemson 115-5. They possessed the ball for 13 minutes and 40 seconds out of a possible 15 minutes, and they dominated the line of scrimmage both offensively and defensively. Clemson ran 6 plays. They had 2 3-and-outs. They couldn't move the ball to save their lives, it looked like. The poor defense was gassed. Wes Goodwin called a hell of a game defensively, especially for 3 quarters, but then in the fourth quarter, what more can you ask for them? I mean, these guys, not only the front 4 had injuries, Xavier Thomas not being there was huge. We have learned more about that, but that was really big.
What is that story?
I don't have it directly in front of me, but it was he will be back this week. He was back with the team today. Apologies, I'll be able to bring that back up and tell you more. I just don't want to misspeak here, but we do know a little bit more information on that. But the point, and then Justin Maskell got hurt. You had help me out here. We had a defensive tackle had to move outside to play D end in that fourth quarter as well, just because of Maskell going out there injured, Xavier Thomas being out. You had a depth became a concern. But then all of a sudden, that small crowd, only 48,000 people down in Miami, they were suddenly roaring like it was a 100,000 person stadium, and it was packed to the brim. That place was rocking all of a sudden. It had been dead silent for 3 quarters. Even in the press box, which was a closed press box, we could hear Tiger Rag being chanted throughout the first 3 quarters. That's how much of a pro-Clemson crowd it was down there. But again, just that entire script got flipped on its head in the fourth quarter there, and it sure would have been nice to ask some questions of the coordinators there after the game.
To answer your question, I don't think he's throwing anybody under the bus. I mean, coaches have to be honest sometimes, and who else are you going to pin that on when you ask the question of the coach, what was the play call, what was it supposed to be? I like an honest answer, and I think that we're all mature enough now, and players are professionals, they're getting paid. They have to sit up and take responsibility, as Klubnik did, and understand that when you make this kind of mistake, especially when you go against the wishes of your coaching staff, that you're going to be called out, you're going to be questioned, and you have to be willing to accept the heat and the responsibility. And Klubnik has done that. He did it after the game, and he did it again today when he met with the media. So I don't consider it, this thing about throwing players under the bus, just like with Beamer after the Florida game. Beamer said exactly what was on his mind. He was pissed because his defense did not follow through the way they had been coached, which was the way you do your pressures, you follow through on them, and you get to the quarterback. They did not do that against Florida. He was asked, or he was explaining how they blew a 10-point lead. They had certain pressures called that weren't executed properly, and it left the secondary naked in dealing with the coverage back there. So he was just being honest. He didn't name any names. In this case, well, it was totally obvious who he was talking about, whether he named a name or not. It was all on Klubnik because he was the one who made the last play. So I think that's I think that's perfectly within today's world of reality that coaches do that. All right, now.
I do agree with you. I just want to point that out. I do agree, but just heard that term being tossed around a lot after the game and since. And just in this day and age with the transfer portal and so forth, let's face it, a lot of coaches have had to kind of put on kitty gloves, and I could be wrong, but I don't feel as though we see that level of honesty today as maybe you did 10, 15, 20 or more years ago, where now maybe you think, okay, it's one thing to handle it in the locker room. It's one thing maybe to have the player acknowledge that to his teammates or to the coaches, but in the public eye, sometimes you see more of a protective type mindset from coaches. Again, just wanted to make sure at least to throw that out there, because I've heard that term tossed around a lot.
Well, I will say,
hours.
Since the Florida game, Beamer has reverted to being very protective about what he says and how he says it, because, of course, on that Sunday conference call, the night after the Florida game, he, quote-unquote, clarified his comments by trying to put the blame on him and his coaching staff. And now every time he talks about something that happens on the field, it's, we didn't do this, but we need to coach it better, and that's on me as the head coach, and we've got to coach it better. So he's being very sensitive to how this plays out on social media, which I think is a fault and not a positive, if you ask me. But in his world of dealing with teenage mutant ninja turtle head kids, I don't know where that came from. It just
that was good though.
But he's trying to protect his recruiting base. Okay, so Pat has left each of you 3 minutes to talk about your games, maybe less than that.
That's okay.
Chris, you got the serious injury to Grace. I say serious, the scary situation with Grayson McCall, but apparently maybe it's all going to be all right.
Well, first off, I'm just glad to be back. I'll leave you guys alone for a week, and we have coaches kicking and breaking foots into water coolers. We've got another coach picking a fight with his fan base. What the heck happened last week? I can't leave you guys alone for anything. But I am feeling better, so I appreciate you guys covering for me last week. But, Grayson McCall was shaken up on a vicious hit to the head, and I still trying to understand how I'll use Tim Beck's comments afterwards. He said, I don't know what to tell the guys anymore. They give themselves up to slide, and they're allowed to take shots at the quarterback's head. I guess that's okay. It's just a 15-yard penalty while the best player in the Sun Belt Conference has to leave the game. That's probably well worth it for some people. That was a direct quote from him after the game. I can't argue with that. I mean, they didn't even call targeting. If you saw the play, Grayson McCall is giving himself up around the 30-yard line early in the fourth quarter on a run. And there's a player from Arkansas State that comes flying in like a missile and hits him squarely in the helmets. Flags come in from everywhere, so you figure, all right, first off, let's make sure Grayson's okay. Secondly, that young man is not going to play another down tonight, nor probably first part of next week. No, all they called it was a personal foul. They never reviewed it. They never looked at targeting. And in an era where you're trying to protect your quarterback as much as possible from high school all the way to the NFL, I was stunned that they did not call a targeting and at least review that. Now, the good news is Tim Beck saying today on the Sunbelt teleconference call that, amazingly, Grayson did not suffer a concussion. I have no idea, and that's a credit to the helmet manufacturers that he did not. And he flew back home yesterday. He did not come back with the team Saturday night after the game, spent the night in the hospital. He is doubtful, as you might imagine, for Saturday's homecoming game with Marshall. But just a scary, scary play, and all signs point that that's going to be a good outcome to get Grayson back, whether it's this Saturday or beyond, because when it happens, you just wondered, was that the last time you were going to see Grayson McCall on the football field? I mean, it was just a vicious, vicious hit and sort of soured what was an okay performance by Coastal. They didn't play their best, and Tim Beck was pretty frank about that, said they were sloppy at times and just weren't as sharp as he would have liked. They won 27-17 against an Arkansas State team that's still in the rebuild mode. They were one of the youngest teams in FBS football. So they're trying. Bush Jones is trying to turn that around out there, and he's got a major mountain to climb. But nonetheless, Coastal comes off that extensive road swing where they hadn't played at home haven't played a home game in over a month, and they come back 2-1 after that. And that's probably, if you went into that and looked at Georgia Southern, Appalachian State, and Arkansas State on the road, and you told Coastal fans, hey, we'll go 2-1. I think pretty much everybody would have signed up for that. So they get back home and finally get to play a home game coming up on Saturday against Marshall.
Okay, Ernest, your turn, man. You go on the road to Delaware, open up MEAC play with a big win.
It kind of reminds you a little bit of Tennessee Tech, to be honest with you, because Tennessee Tech against South Carolina State week before gave up a touchdown to the Bulldogs on the second play of the game. We scored on a 90-yard touchdown. Didn't do anything the rest of the afternoon and ended up getting beat 38-7 or 31-7 or whatever it was. Well, anyhow, but Delaware State took the opening kickoff right down the field. I mean, they just went right through the Bulldogs like we were butter, and it was 7-0 Delaware State, but South Carolina State came back, got the running game going. You know, we've been talking about these running backs. Bulldogs had 3 running backs to almost get 100 yards. Had 2. Tyler Smith had 121 yards. Jawan Howe had 119 yards. And then Josh Shaw had 94 yards. So the Bulldogs got the offensive line going. But to me, the real player in the first half of that ball game when Corey Fields got going was the guy by the name of Justin Smith-Brown. In the first half, he had 8 catches for 120 yards and a touchdown. But the thing about Justin Smith-Brown, he made an incredible catch toward the Bulldogs' third score. It was over-the-shoulder catch going out of bounds at about the 2-yard line. And he got creamed out of bounds. And it messed his ankle up really bad. He was already coming off a bad ankle sprain. And now he's down, and we don't know how long he's going to be out. So that was a costly injury because he led the Bulldogs. He was leading the Bulldogs in receptions and yards, and he was kind of like the go-to guy. Now, we do have another go-to guy that we didn't throw a lot to, and that's Keyshawn Toney, who's a tight end. He's an ex-Gamecock. But, this week we head up to North Carolina Central, and it's a Thursday night game on ESPN. North Carolina Central won the MEAC last year, but North Carolina Central hadn't beaten South Carolina State in, I think, 3 years. We've won the last 2. So this game could very well set the tone, at least for the MEAC championship. I don't think it'll decide the MEAC championship. And I mentioned that to Coach Pugh. We won it last year, and they won the championship. We want to win this game this week, but we just want to win the MEAC.
Absolutely. In his last year.
Yes.
As the games count down. Okay, there you go. Our recaps of what we saw over the weekend. Now it's time to turn it over to you when we come back from the break. Phone number 888-898-2525. We'll be back in a moment.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Clear and chilly overnight with the low temp dipping down to 42. Tomorrow, is absolutely beautiful with sunny skies and a high temp topping out at 73. We get warmer as the week moves on, even climbing back into the low 80s by Thursday. We have no rain scheduled all week. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
Don't wait until it's time to have your family by the fire to realize you're unprepared. At Bart Fireside, we're pleased to offer our customers a wide variety of high-quality fireplaces, ranging from vent-free gas and electric to high-efficiency hybrid wood burning. Whatever your style and fuel preference is, we're confident you'll find a fireplace that's just right for you. Serving the Midlands since 1979, let the professionals at Bart Fireside take care of it. Give us a call at 803-772-7364.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting House Republicans are gathering on Capitol Hill to try to elect a speaker after having deposed Kevin McCarthy 20 days ago. 9 lower-level Republican lawmakers are now running to be the House Speaker, none with any clear shot for the gavel. Senior most is Representative Tom Emmer of Minnesota, who has been endorsed by McCarthy. Senator Bob Menendez of New Jersey has returned to a New York City federal court and entered a not guilty plea to a charge alleging he conspired to act as an agent for the Egyptian government. The Democratic former chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee entered the plea on Monday. Menendez stepped down from his powerful post on the Senate committee after he was criminally charged last month with other conspiracy counts. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 190 points, the Nasdaq rose 34. More details at srnnews.com.
Hey y'all, I'm Tim Miles, the mayor of West Columbia. I'm asking you to please vote for me for re-election on November the 7th so we can keep our city moving forward. I love everything about our city, the people, the places, and its history. As we have grown, we've been able to maintain our small town feel and keep our low cost, great essential services, and top-notch police and fire departments. Let's keep it going and keep our city moving forward so we can keep the things that have made our city great.
I sure like to brag about good local businesses. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is a great local biz. Josh and his team stress customer service as their top priority. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning came out to my house. I had a toilet that wasn't working right, a garbage disposal that died. They came out right on time, told me everything they were going to do, and explained the price of each repair before even bringing in the tools. I knew exactly what I was getting and exactly what it would cost. Their prices are fair, their team is courteous and professional, plus they did a great job fixing what needed fixing in my home. I am very careful about making any recommendations, and I'm thrilled and confident to suggest you call Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning for any plumbing needs. If it's a repair or to replace something, if it's that tankless water heater that you've always wanted to give you that endless hot water and save you some money. They unclog drain and sewer lines and so much more. Online, you'll find them at franklinplumbing.sc.com or just give Josh and those great folks a phone call, 799-2222. That's 799-2222, and tell them you heard about them from here at The Point.
Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Have you ever walked in and looked at how beautiful a Lexington Discount Homes manufactured home really is? For more than 35 years, Lexington Discount Homes has helped families find home ownership with phenomenal customer service and a selection that fits your needs and your wallet. They have a huge variety of homes and prices. Come by and visit us at 1847 Augusta Highway or take a virtual tour online at lexingtondiscounthomes.com. That's lexingtondiscounthomes.com.
Have you fallen behind on your taxes and might be facing IRS penalties? Have wage garnishments, levies, or liens? Have unfiled tax returns? You want someone local and qualified. Don't fall for those national spots. Meet with me, Teresa, at Capital City Professional Services.
I can help you with tax collection issues. There are options to get you back on track. Capital City Professional Services, 400-8683. That's 400-8683.
Before we continue and get to your phone calls, 888-898-2525. This afternoon, I attended the memorial service, the celebration of life for Tommy Moody, the Swami, and South Carolina did a great job. Ray Tanner and his staff did a great job hosting that at Founders Park in Columbia. And the way they did it, I'll just give you a quick description. This was nice touch. They lined the field and put the bases on the field like it was for a baseball game. That was really, really nice, really touching there. They had a stage set up at home plate. They had his family sitting on one side to the left. They had the speakers sitting on one side to the right. They had a little memorial out at second base. Tommy was a second baseman. And then they had a series of speakers to include Bobby Richardson, who looks phenomenal in his 90s, and got up and spoke. He was Tommy's coach at South Carolina. Of course, we all know him from his days with the Yankees. And then several of the announcers with whom he worked at South Carolina spoke, including, including Derek Scott, the current baseball announcer for South Carolina, and Andy Demetra spoke as well. Some of the guys from over at Tommy's station in Columbia 107.5. The Game spoke as well. Jay Phillips in particular gave a great eulogy. So it was, and they put everything up on the big screen out in center field. That's nice. The sound system was excellent. They had, of course, a religious content to it, and they had Christian music being played by not an, I wouldn't call it an organ, but some sort of board music machine. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but kind of like an organ, but not quite. So anyway, just wanted to say it was very well done. And Tommy was, if you knew him, and a lot of you folks who listen to us who were Gamecock fans or live in the Columbia area where he grew up as a standout high school athlete at AC Flora, you knew Tommy, you knew of Tommy, you listened to him on the radio, either in Columbia or on the Gamecock Network, and you loved his work, you loved his personality. Those of you who do not know of him, then this probably doesn't mean a lot to you. To you, he's just another person, just another name. But he genuinely was a great guy. You hear that a lot about people, but that's just not, just not word salad there. He was truly a genuinely great guy who. Boy, he loved the Gamecocks. He loved baseball. He loved statistics. He loved trivia, all that kind of stuff. So
he was Carolina's Tim Ray without being in that role, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, he had USC baseball.
Probably so. Actually, across the board,
anything. Yeah,
across the board. Anything. He was heavily involved in the Letterman's Association, involved in the USC Athletic Hall of Fame. So he had his hands on a lot of different things over there. So just wanted to say good job to all who put that together. And we'll miss Tommy Moody as a friend and as somebody in the media here in Columbia because he brought a lot. He brought a lot to the table.
He also did a terrific job covering high school football, high school athletics in our state, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Phil, I mean, he had a really, really good sense of what was going on, especially in the Midlands, obviously, where he grew up and played.
Mm-hmm.
But I always enjoyed listening to him, especially doing Carolina baseball. I just marveled at some of the stuff he knew. And you knew it. That's why I used the Tim Ray example. You know this is stuff that Tim just knows. He doesn't have it written down somewhere, and I think the same thing was true of Tommy. It's just stuff he knew.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we've promised now to turn it over for the next hour to the callers. It's a host-free period now here on Sports Talk until we get to Zach Willis, 1st and 10, coming up at the bottom of the next hour. So we invite you to give us a call. The phone number is 888-898-2525. That is the South Carolina Education Lottery. Lucky number for you here on Sports Talk. And Pat, I've just joined the chat, so if you want to put in the list of the callers again, thank you. We go to Hank in Columbia to lead us off. And Hank, thank you for your patience. The floor is yours for about 3 minutes.
Hey, Corn. Just wanted to speak on both of the games. I'll tell you, I was about ready to turn away from that Carolina game at halftime because I said this could get super, super ugly. And I said, quarters, and Carolina went down and scored another field goal to get it to 24-6. And then I said, that drew me in to say, I'll watch one more series. And then I think Carolina went about 4 or 5 series in the second half where they got Missouri offense off the field. But when we were going down, we kept on kicking field goals. I said, this team always has a way to draw you back in. So the best thing I can say about that game is that they did put up some fight. I still have I have a problem. It seems as if the defense at the beginning, it seems like teams are really cued on into whatever we're doing defensively. And even when the games we win, other than the Georgia game, the defense lets teams go up and down the field in the first half. You know, it's whenever they get kind of measured, it's all right. But teams come out, and it's almost like they're running the same plays that the last team is running, and we haven't fixed it. And so I don't know if the defense just scouting a game preparation is an issue. I know some of it is just too many players running around there with Similac behind their ears. But, you know, that was on the Carolina game. And then I stayed up late to watch the Clemson game. And it was the biggest thing I see with Clemson, one is, you know, Carolina got a lot of offensive problems on the offensive line. Clemson seems like they have the same issues. It's not as bad since we got a little bit better players around them, but it seems like they got some offensive line issues. And I think the biggest thing with Clemson now, and this is where you have to start to think about the portal and what's going on, is their receivers don't separate. Even when their receivers are making catches, there's either a Miami guy right on them when they have to make the catch, or they make a spectacular catch, or the Miami guy was right there on the receivers to knock it away. So their offense really struggles, and so whenever the defense gets tired, that's when it seems like it goes.
Okay. Anything else?
And I mean, it was just, you know, it's going to be interesting coming out of the end because, you know, if we get any more hurt, I don't know who we're going to put out there. When Babalati and the other offensive linemen went out there, I was like, well, they only had 6, 7 healthy linemen on the field. I said, in a minute, we're going to have a tight end playing tackle.
It is getting desperate time for them on the offensive line. Okay, thank you, Hank. Again, the hosts, this is a host-free time on Sports Talk, so unless you drag us in, we're going to let you roll with it. So we go next to Gamecock Larry over in Swansea. Gamecock Larry, welcome in. You have got the show, sir. Go right ahead.
Okay. I don't know who feels it, but Gamecock Larry don't feel bad. He feels good.
Good.
I don't know, but the Clemson Tiger fans, I know you feel bad. I know you feel bad. $10 million coach, $2 million offensive coordinator, 5-star running, a 5-star fullback, 5-star quarterback, and one of the best running backs in the NCAA, and you can't get a yard. Instead of getting a yard, you lose 8. And now let me say something about Gamecock Larry's drag racing team. Congratulations. Out of the champions out of 50 states and Canada. Gamecock Lucas, Gamecock Wesley, Gamecock Jace, all of it, and Proud Daddy W.C. Clark. They put it together. Out of all 51 of those I called off, they came in number 3. Number 3 out of 51, that is really, really good. Gamecock Larry's drag racing team. Congratulations. Now let's talk about my game.
Hang on one second. What team was that? What team?
Gamecock Larry's drag racing team.
Drag racing team.
Yes, sir. They were in the national championships in Darlington this weekend.
Ah, okay.
Out of the champion out of 50 states and Canada were there. My driver, Gamecock Jace, and all, they told the points up and all after it was over. They came in number 3. So I'm proud of them. Congratulations.
Okay.
Let me tell you about my Gamecocks. I ain't worried one bit about the Gamecocks. I don't want to hear a word from you guys or another station. I don't want to hear a word from them guys either. When we win 5-0, you don't go into battle expecting a loss. We going to Texas A&M. We coming home a winner. Go Gamecocks. Go Gamecock drag racing team. Congratulations. I feel good like an old Gamecock should. And Clemson fans, you gave that game away. You gave it away. Trying to make 1-K and lose 8. Go Gamecocks. Go I'll see you later. I feel good.
All right. I thought he was talking about, maybe I misheard. I thought he was talking about a team in drag. But he was talking about.
I knew you'd go there.
You knew that, huh? Was that too low-hanging fruit?
Yes.
I thought he was talking about his Gamecocks in drag, but he's talking about a drag racing team. I got it over at Darlington. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
House of Speed over here.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Gamecock Larry. We got to go to the break, and we'll come back. The show is yours. See if you can top Gamecock Larry there, or Hank if you can. Phone number 888-898-2525. I think we all could use a vacation right about now. When I think vacation, I think Jimmy Smith. Well, I think about other things, but then first I think, well, second or third, I think Jimmy Smith. But whenever you think about Jimmy, whether it's first, second, or third, make sure you think about him when you need to set up that trip to the beach for a long weekend or a week or a month or more. Just give Jimmy a phone call, and he and his staff will go right to work for you. 843-237-4246, online at Paulie'sVacationRentals.com. We all know the beach is the place. Jimmy's the man for your perfect beach getaway. That's 843-237-4246. Okay. Of course, we got baseball going on. The Rangers and the Astros, they have made things exciting. Yeah,
that has been a great series.
If Houston happens to win, that means I'll be flying into a World Series city come Friday morning, because I'll be going to Houston on my way to Texas A&M, which would be kind of neat because I'll have plenty of time, because I get there early Friday morning. I have plenty of time to roam around Houston, and I'd love for Houston, not that I'm pulling for them against the Rangers, but if they happen to win,
Houston's a fun team.
Yes, it is. Well, both of them. I mean, Altuve, how does that guy hit the ball as far as he does?
He's a guy. He is just a
what
guy.
a stud. And then we got the National League game going on as we speak, and we'll update in a moment.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. That's the sound of a big hit on you and your car or truck. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years, helping people who get injured in car wrecks and truck wrecks. If you have serious injuries, call Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or email me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. That's Corbett. I don't get paid unless I recover for you. Jim Corbett Attorney, for your best recovery from a big hit, 803-765-2968, or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
Touchstone Energy Cooperative members save more on electricity, and members save more on insurance, groceries, healthcare, restaurants, travel, concerts, and sporting events through Co-op Connections. Touchstone Energy is an alliance of the member-owned electric cooperatives, and as a member, the power is yours. Experience the power of membership with Touchstone Energy and find out how much you can save on electricity and a whole lot more at touchstoneenergy.com.
Investing can be like a puzzle. There's so many pieces to consider, and it can be hard to know where to start. But with the right guidance, you can put the pieces together to create a winning strategy. That's where Founders Investment Services come in. Our team of financial advisors can help you navigate the complexities of investing and create a personalized plan that fits your goals and risk tolerance. We'll work with you to identify the pieces of your puzzle and how they fit into your financial future. Call 866-739-7064 or visit foundersfcuinvestments.com to learn more about how we can help you take the first step towards reaching your financial goals. Securities offered through LPL Financial.
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call me, Alex Satterfield, at 803-749-9171 for all of your Midlands insurance needs.
This year's Carolina and Clemson Jackpot $5 scratch-off tickets give you a chance to win up to $200,000, whether you're a Gamecock or a Tiger. Plus, you can enter your tickets into the Second Chance promotion for a chance to step on the field or the court to win $50,000, $75,000, or even $100,000. In this state, winning the Palmetto Series does matter that much, so get your tickets today. See SCEducationLottery.com for odds and details. Winning and non-winning tickets can be entered. Second Chance odds depend on number of entries received.
Hi, this is Billy Downer from the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. Are you looking for a safe place to shoot your rifle or handgun? Did you know that the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources operates 4 manned ranges across the state in Pickens County, Spartanburg County, Richland County, and Charleston County? For more information on our public ranges, visit dnr.sc.gov/shooting.
George Bryant here for Tsunami Bar Sports, and some say the fun is in the winning. I say the fun is in the training. And Tsunami Robbie, what do you say?
George, we all know you get more done when you're having fun. This technology is different. It's engaging, but it's also a lot of fun to use.
Hi, this is Phil Kornblut. Be sure to click on the digital ad on SportsTalkSC.com and get 5% off any Tsunami Bar order using promo code BBB5. Don't wait, order today. Clemson basketball will have recruiting coming up for you in a little bit. Haven't had a chance to touch on this, but Clemson basketball gets a commitment this afternoon from a highly thought-of point guard out of Arizona, Del Jones. So he joins the Clemson 2024 class, and apparently, by all accounts, is a heck of a pickup for the Tigers. So they have him, and they have Ace Buckner, who's kind of a point guard, shooting guard, and they have the big kid, Asa Thomas, 6'9" kid out of Arkansas, as their class for 2024 at this point. Pat?
I just, in case you couldn't think of his name, sorry, it's Dallas Thomas. Yeah, that power forward out of Little Rock. And just reading a little bit about this Del Jones, he's a legit combo guard. Quote, he is quotally capable of playing on or off ball, has both pace and creativity. Seems like his speed is what is really jumping off the page at people. His shooting may be a bit of a work in progress, but apparently he has very good court vision and just really, really good speed. Also, he's good on the defensive end of the ball, which we all know Brad Brownell is big on.
Yeah. See, so, wait a minute. Asa Thomas, he's already at Clemson. Is that right?
Oh, I'm sorry. There's a Dallas Thomas then in that same class. I apologize.
Yeah.
He's from Little Rock, though. So that's awfully coincidental. But yeah, so in this class now, you have 4-star power forward Dallas Thomas from Little Rock, 3-star combo guard Ace Buckner, of course, son of Greg Buckner, right. Clemson legend, and then now you have Del Jones.
Yeah. But there's an Asa Thomas who is already, he's already at Clemson. He is a freshman at Clemson. So you're right. Dallas Thomas is coming in. Asa Thomas is already there. So glad you pointed that out. So we'll talk more about that coming up in recruiting. We'll go over some other things. Right now, though, we go back to your phone calls, 888-898-2525. That's our phone number. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. We turn the show over to you for a few minutes. And Bruce in Missouri, you're with us next. Welcome in. The show is yours. Hello, Bruce. Are you there, sir?
Yeah, I'm there. Music came on instead of me.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I'm not worried about Clemson playing ball. They're doing the best they can. Luck is out the window. But it's football. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some. So they're just losing some now, and they'll win the rest of the season. I'm not worried about them at all. And hooray for the other Tiger team here in Missouri. Beat the Go Gamecock Larry team. Anyway, just don't report on Larry. He's all gung-ho on the Gamecock. So happy birthday to you, Larry. Have fun. That's my deal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is today's Larry's birthday? Did we miss that? No,
he didn't say that.
No, he didn't mention it to us.
I could swear I remember us singing happy birthday to him a few months ago.
Maybe he gets a birthday every 6 months.
And I love the optimism, but if South Carolina and Clemson are going to win out, which obviously they can because they play one another, against the likes of Texas A&M and Kentucky and Clemson, and on the flip side, NC State, Notre Dame, North Carolina, yeah, I love the optimism. I just don't see it for either one of them.
Well, I mean, South Carolina has got itself in a position where they're going to have to win out if they lose to Texas A&M to become bowl eligible. And, of course, Clemson still needs 2 more wins. When was the last time we talked about Clemson and used the phrase, got to win to be bowl eligible?
Yeah. You know, things have changed, I think. We don't talk a lot about this, but you wonder just how long, and I'm talking years down the road, can Dabo hold on to his feelings about the transfer portal? I think, I had a conversation with Coach Pugh about this earlier this year, and he talks about how the game has changed. And whether you like it or not, or whether you agree with it or not, if you don't change, you're going to fall behind. And, they just really don't have the talent across the board. We assume because Clemson brings them in that they're that good. But they really just don't have the talent. And I'll tell you, North Carolina State is not going to be an easy game for Clemson.
No, I mean, they've had their struggles. This was supposed to be, they were thinking big going into this season. They had to transfer from Virginia. Armstrong hasn't worked out great for them to this point. All right, back to the phones we go, and we will go next to, is it Sam in Charleston up next? All right, Sam, welcome in. The show is yours. How are you?
Well, actually, 4 more days until the block party of the 2023 men's and women's basketball team. Who's ready?
Well, let me see who's ready for some basketball, Sam. Tell me who's ready.
Well, actually, I am, by the way. Actually, I have a quick question about the block party and the game itself this year. One of the things I want to talk to you about when you say about the NIL deal thing, I really do think I really do think that they need to stop it because I just want to see more change with the CSC women's basketball this year because I think something this year's my anniversary, if you know that right.
Anniversary of what?
So last year is my 12 years. My 12th anniversary last year. It went really well. I was very pleased how my team did. I was very pleased how we lost 4 seniors last year. I know who. I don't know the names of the players. I know 4 of them graduated from last May. And I want you to talk about a few things this week to talk about this week. Is that I saw Coach Kelsey about this, and he said that he wants the TD Arena to get packed, sold out. Here's my question for you to talk about this, and so you can feel informed to talk about this. Is that when you guys think about the relationship between Iona and CFC on November 6th?
Yeah, that should be. That should be. Did he say Iona?
He said Iona.
Yeah,
that's who they open up with. Rick Pitino.
2 weeks from tonight. That's right. Yeah,
no more Pitino.
But still, Iona, pretty good name. Good start for College of Charleston, and they get off to a good start. I think the Cougars are going to have another big year. Thank you, Sam. Back in a moment.
By the way, before we do what's supposed to happen here, thank you for pushing the button. I thank you. Programming thanks you. America thanks you.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. The GOP-led House starts over in its search for a new speaker as the race widens to 9 Republican lawmakers vying for the nomination.
The House is heading into its third full week without a speaker, and Republicans are back to square one after 2 nominees dropped out of the race when it became clear they would be unable to get the necessary votes on the House floor to win the gavel. Some lawmakers are expressing pessimism about anyone being able to do 17 votes needed to become speaker, but the GOP is set to try again. They are scheduled to meet at 6:30 p.m. Tuesday evening for a closed-door candidate forum, during which 9 candidates are expected to make their pitch to be the next speaker. The conference is scheduled to vote tomorrow morning on whom to nominate next. Edwin Mora, Washington.
Detroit police say they've identified several people of interest in the killing of a synagogue president.
Detroit Police Chief James White says he's not ready to name a suspect yet.
We have a number of people that give us interest. We are just short of calling one of the people a suspect.
White tells WXYZ they discovered the body of 40-year-old Samantha Walsh Saturday morning after responding to a 911 call.
While at the scene, police officers observed a trail of blood leading officers to the victim's residence, which is where we believe the crime occurred. An examination of the victim led to the discovery of multiple stab wounds.
And police have repeatedly said they have found no evidence that Wall's killing was motivated by anti-Semitism. I'm Shelley Adler.
2 more hostages held in Gaza have been released by Hamas terrorists. They've been kidnapped during the attack on Israel on October 7th. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 190 points, the Nasdaq rose 34, the S&P declined 7. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
I'm Corey, and this is my story. I was going through some financial troubles paying off my credit cards. I was paying high interest rates, and it just wasn't getting any better. And I knew I had to do something. So my mom told me about Trinity, and so I decided to call. Trinity was able to do something that I couldn't. I'm paying off my debt. I'm saving thousands, and things are really looking up. I promise you guys, you will not regret it when you call Trinity, because it was such a relief and less stress in my life, and it was the best thing I could have done for myself, because once I called Trinity, they took care of me, and I felt such a relief, a weight off my shoulders. Trinity was great to work with. They wanted to help me. I love it.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
I'm Corey, and I'm debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
A murder suspect is beaten up in court.
A man accused of fatally shooting a 15-year-old last year was beaten by members of the teen's family during a courtroom melee in San Antonio, Texas. 18-year-old Victor Rivas is charged with murder in the May 2022 death of Ethan Soto. Rivas was in a Bexar County courtroom awaiting a preliminary hearing when authorities said he was attacked. Rivas' attorney said his client was bruised and swollen but wasn't otherwise injured. 4 people were arrested and charged with assault and disrupting court proceedings. John Scott reported.
Federal prosecutors have advanced investigations into Tesla beyond the electric vehicle maker's partially automated driving systems, and they've issued subpoenas for information instead of simply requesting it. Legal experts say that the filing indicates that prosecutors may be investigating CEO Elon Musk. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Clear and chilly overnight with the low temp dipping down to 42. Tomorrow is absolutely beautiful with sunny skies and a high temp topping out at 73. We get warmer as the week moves on, even climbing back into the low 80s by Thursday. We have no rain scheduled all week. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
As a kid, you dreamed of being a firefighter one day. Now, the opportunity is yours. Answer the sound of sirens. Live your dream. Become a part of a team, a family. Visit scvolunteerfire.org to find out more.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, we're back on Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network on this Monday after, and it's a host-free sport for the next 25 minutes, so you feel like jumping on board and being a talk show host and sharing your thoughts about the weekend. Now's your time. 888-898-2525 is the number. Update the baseball. We've got Arizona leading Philadelphia after 5, 4-1, seeking to even that series at 3. And coming up tonight will be Texas and Houston in Houston for the right to go to the World Series and the ALCS. That series also is tied at 3, or is tied at 3, not also. It is tied at 3 at this point. Phone number once again, 888-898-2525. Let me update a couple of things. We'll get back to your telephone calls. So the game time for South Carolina, Jacksonville State, that's Gamecock on Gamecock, will be at noon on ESPNU a week from Saturday. The Clemson-Notre Dame game that same day will be either a noon or 3:30 kickoff on either ESPN or ABC. USC's a 14-point underdog to A&M. Clemson a 10.5-point favorite to State. Marshall is a 3.5-point favorite over Coastal Carolina. Furman is third once again in the AFCA FCS Top 25. And we should, of course, mention, besides the teams we've been talking about right here in the studio from the 4 games that we attended, as far as the other teams over the weekend, Furman won at Western Carolina. Great
win for them.
For the Paladins, great win for them. Things are going very well. Their quarterback, Huff, is playing great football. If they hold it together, man, they got a chance to run the table, go to the playoffs, and win some games. Wofford lost at Mercer, was competitive, but lost again, so they remain winless. Presbyterian lost a tough one to Marist. Having a much better year, however, is PC. Charleston Southern lost at UT Martin. UT Martin's got a good team, though. Newberry lost to Lenore-Rhine. So the Wolves are not having the kind of year that they usually have.
Mario Anderson mean that much to them, you think?
I don't know if it's that or quarterback play or just what. They usually have running backs ready to go. Erskine lost at Virginia Wise. They're still winless. North Greenville lost at West Georgia. Limestone they have a shot to win the SAC, I believe. They are 5-1, and they beat Catawba over the weekend. I think that makes them 5-1 in the league. They did lose to Lenore-Rhine, so they're in the hunt. Benedict undefeated. They beat Kentucky State. They remain undefeated. Got Savannah State and Allen left. Allen was a loser to Miles, and they have Edward Waters and Benedict left. And again, as Big E mentioned, got a game on Thursday. In Orangeburg, it's South Carolina State turning around quickly. No, you're going to go to North Carolina Central.
We're in Durham.
Yeah, you're in Durham to play North Carolina Central.
Yeah, the old Kelly Riddick Stadium. That's a smallish kind of stadium. They'll have a good crowd for that ball game. That's a tough place to go in and play.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things about the schools in North Carolina Central, North Carolina A&T, because of the way the state system is set up, those schools are beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they are constantly building buildings. You don't know the difference between North Carolina Central's campus and Wake Forest's campus from the standpoint of the buildings and the infrastructure and how that thing's set up. So it's a fun place to go play. The football stadium is right in the center of campus and walking distance of the dorms. So it'll be an electric crowd on Thursday night, and it's not the first time we played them on Thursday night. So we're kind of looking forward to it. Trey Oliver is one of the best coaches in the country. If you remember last year, the Celebration Bowl, he stared down Deion Sanders at Jackson State and said, "We aren't changing anything. We do what we do, and that's what we're going to do." And all they do is run a read option. They got a great quarterback, really good running back, and they say, "You got to stop us," and that's what we'll have to do on Thursday night.
All right, a couple of other quick notes. Yeah, looking forward to that. Always like it when we have a Thursday night game that involves a local team. The latest odds from Bet Online for the national championship: Michigan 5-2, Georgia's 14-5, Ohio State is 6-1, Florida State is 8-1, Washington is 9-1. Heisman odds: J.J. McCarthy is now 2-1, but that's not fair because he's getting advanced scouting as coaches are going to watch other teams. That's just not. He should be handicapped because of that. 2-1. Michael Penix is 13-4. Jaden Daniels is 4-1, and Jordan Travis is 7-1. Our poll question of the week is: Clemson has 3 losses on the season, may be headed to their most losses since 2011. The offense has averaged just 20 points per game against their 5 toughest opponents. What should Dabo Swinney do? The 4 choices are: A, take over play calling; B, change quarterbacks; C, go to the wishbone;
yes;
and D, leave it alone. Ernest, what do you say?
I'm thinking it might be the leave it alone category. I don't know how much Dabo's involved. I got a feeling he's more involved in what we think because there's just certain things done and not done. I don't understand how Maffa is not getting more touches, especially in short yardage situations. Yeah, they got 230 pounds. You're going to give it a guy who's strong, but he's only about 200, 205. And I said weeks ago, they're going to wear Shipley down. Moffa's not getting to work. You could share that load. And so I think he needs to kind of back away from the offense and, make Riley earn his money.
Okay. What would you do, Chris?
I was joking about the wishbone, but I'm not totally not serious about that because I think with their running back stable, you put them in a wishbone, they'd shock a lot of people. They won't do that, obviously, but I thought it was a good option. I agree with Ernest. You leave it alone. But I will say this. I would strongly consider, not because he's not playing all that well, and as Pat pointed out astutely earlier, they really don't have a lot behind him. But if you want to send a message to Cade Klubnik to listen to coaching, because it's clear now, the first time against Florida State when he held onto the football and tried to make the pass that didn't work. All right, that's freshman mistake trying to make a play. We can live with that. But now it's become a habit. It's 2 times now, and it almost seems like he's trying to win the game on his shoulders. Take him out.
3 times. Go back to the Duke
put
game.
The
fumble in the red zone to Duke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put somebody else in there. Maybe you don't start him. Sit him for a little bit and let him learn. Listen, you're going to play our system or you're not going to play. And as Pat pointed out, he's got no fear right now of losing his job because they don't have anybody ready behind him. But I think they've got to try something to get into his head because clearly Cade Klubnik is not taking coaching at 100% right now.
Totally agree with what you said there, Chris. And one more thing just to add to that. Remember, Christopher Vizina, with the new rules, redshirt rules, you can play up to 4 games.
Sure.
If my math is right, he's only played in 1 game so far this year. So they have 3 games to play with. And so why not? Send him out there. Just throw him out for the first drive of the game, first couple plays of the game, whatever. Just to send a strong message. I'm totally with you.
I think changing quarterbacks might not be such a bad idea, at least for a little bit, and get a different look. You do have Hunter Helms, who's been, he is a walk-on backup, but he is basically your number 2. Well, I guess Vizina is technically the number 2 if they had to go to somebody on a full-time basis. And you have Paul Tyson, who transferred in, but just as kind of a filler there in the quarterback room. They don't really have, when you break it down, they don't really have great depth at quarterback.
So I think what you can do also is you put him out there, and the first time he does something that's a little questionable, just to send a message, send him down, and bring the court and somebody else in just to let him know that this is what can happen. You need to take a look at this and see it from this angle. Maybe he'll see something that wakes up. I've seen that used so many times. Sometimes it wakes up quarterbacks, and, I think he needs a wake-up call.
All right. By the way, of the votes, 154 votes are in. 49.4% say leave it alone. 26% change quarterback. 17.5% go to the wishbone. And more people want him to go to the wishbone than Dabo to take over play calling.
So I'd like to add a 5th option just for kind of tongue-in-cheek if I can. Just kiss it. Keep it simple, stupid. Now, you told me that probably 12, 13 years ago when I was interning with you back in the day, and it still resonates with me strongly today. And with this team, it's just so many plays. To your point, you were saying, why not bring in that jumbo package on that 4th and goal opportunity? You know it's going to work. Why are you getting all cute? Why are you spreading out a receiver, putting receivers wide? Why are you doing these different plays, these different formations? Just do what is tried and true, and you know has a history of working. It just seems like so many times with this Tigers squad this year, they're overcomplicating very simple things. Just line up, run the ball, trust your offensive line, trust your running back, and just trust it to work. Stop trying to be so cute.
And last thing, before we get back to calls, we have the new rankings this week from the South Carolina Prep Media folks. So in let's see here, where's 5A? 5A, it's Somerville. Won a tough one on Friday night, but they won nonetheless. Somerville, T.L. Hannah, Burns, White Knoll, Hillcrest, Gaffney, Fort Dorchester, Clover, Ashley Ridge, and Lexington. In 4A, it's South Florence, Northwestern, Irmo, James Island, West Side, Midland Valley, Lucy Beckham, North Augusta, South Point, and Hartsville. In 3A, it's Daniel, Belton, Honeypath, Dillon, Gilbert. I tell you, 3A is loaded in South Carolina.
Yes, it is.
Chapman, Crestwood, Broome, Clinton. If Clinton is your number 18, then Chester and Philip Simmons. That tells you how deep we are in 3A. In 2A, and wait till Gray Collegiate moves up to 3A. Of course, they got smoked by IMG on Friday night. In 2A, you got Abbeville, you got Gray, you got Oceanside, you got Hampton County, Marion, Strom Thurmond, Fairfield Central, Saluda, 96, and Woodland. And in 1A, you have got Louisville, Christchurch, Earhart, Whale Branch, Southside Christian, Calhoun County, St. Joseph's, Hunter, Connor, Tyler, Latta, and Lamar. Now, folks in Lamar would really take exception to this, and I got to agree with them. How can you rank Latta ahead of Lamar? Lamar's got the better record and beat Latta head-to-head.
Yeah.
At least I think they have the better record. Yeah. But how do you rank Latta ahead of Lamar? As much as I think Latta is better than Lamar, I saw Tommy Suggs at the football game, had to fill him in on everything about Latta and Lamar. He was happy to see that our alma maters might go head-to-head in the postseason. But in all seriousness, I don't know how that is how you can do that when you look at how they have played each other this year. Okay.
I've got one other note, too, before we get to
right.
phones that we didn't touch on earlier when we were talking about Grayson McCall. Before he got injured against Arkansas State, he went over the 10,000 yards passing in career yardage on Saturday night. He's now got 10,005 yards in his career. He's, believe it or not, just the 146th player in FBS history to reach 10,000 yards in career passing numbers.
Hell of an accomplishment.
And where does that
really
put him?
Pretty impressive.
That puts him, is he the all-time leading passer?
Yes. At Coastal, he passes Alex Ross. Passed Alex Ross in passing touchdowns on Saturday as well.
Yeah. Alex Ross was a heck of a quarterback.
Yes, he was.
Back in the FCS days.
Coastal's had some really, really good quarterbacks. I mean, you think of Tyler Thigpen as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they considering the program's only 21 years old, and now you've got a kid like Grayson McCall's gone over 10,000 yards. I mean, it's just remarkable what they've done in just 2 decades.
All right, back to the phones, 888-898-2525. It is now host-free time. We're going to sit back and hear what you have to say. So, Rodney, in Mount Pleasant, thank you for waiting. You got the floor. Make the most of it. You got 3 minutes.
Good evening, gentlemen. Of course, the established cast, but I haven't had a chance to say hello to Ernest since he's joined the fray. So, Ernest, good to hear you. It made me have memories when I lived in Columbia when you were doing this between 6 and 7, if you can remember.
I appreciate it, Rodney. How you doing?
Yeah, but Rodney, you weren't listening to that show between 6 and 7. You were listening to this show between 6 and 7, weren't you?
Well, since we already established that the coaches have to tell it like it is, Bobby and Ernest at that time had my ear, but after them, remember, you do have a 2-hour show, so then I would go to you.
We forgive you.
Just keeping it real.
There you go.
Anyway, just wanted to check with Ernest and, in regards to the Bulldogs, I course, we went through the year, took the beating from Jackson State. But the thing that I wanted to just focus on real quick, Bulldogs got the victory as far as being the Bulldogs in South Carolina. But the thing that I was trying to figure out between the Tech game to this weekend, or at least this past weekend, I saw it, as far as online, but I'm trying to figure out, evidently some type of fire was lit on I know Dale State can't be that bad because they still have been competitive, but the running game pretty much just came completely alive. I've heard other people joke. I'm worried now is, are we going to be able to keep all of the running backs because we have too much talent? Sometimes that's a good thing to have, but the guy that was here from the Low Country, Shaw, I think Hanahan, I was glad to see that he's recovered from his injury. But the thing that I'm worried about on the defensive side, how well off do you think Jablonski is going to be on a short week as far as with him coming back, look like being on and off?
Well, he played well at Delaware State. But let me go back. I had the same sentiments as you, Rodney, worried about because we got so many running backs, keeping them all. But we're going to be banged up. Delaware State played Central Connecticut the week before. Central Connecticut's a pretty good. Right. They're in the CAA, I think, and they scored 44 points against CAA. Now their defense isn't that great, but their offense is really good. So we did a really good job of shutting them down. I think Howard really had his impact on that game because he made adjustments after they scored on the first possession. And it was almost as if we knew every play that they were going to do. So the defense has come around. But to be banged up this week, Jawam Howell is a little banged up. He got banged up in that game. They're keeping him out of practice this week. Josh Shaw is banged up. He came to practice on Monday, and his ankle was swollen from the weekend. Didn't have any injury. So from that standpoint, they're going to bring up Tyler Smith. Now, we have two Tyler Smiths. One Tyler Smith ran for 119 yards on Saturday. We got another Tyler Smith that they're going to bring up. He's going to see some action because, Patrick talked earlier about kids having 4 games that they can play. So they're going to bring up the other Tyler Smith and play him. So we're going to have to go deep down into the roster. I'm not sure. Jawan probably a game time decision. I venture to say more than likely he's going to play. On the defensive side, Jablonski Green played great against Delaware State. That's where he really started his career, and it went off. And ironically, in the game that he went off in Delaware State, he had a cast on his hand. Well, this past Saturday, he had a cast on his hand again because he'd broken his hand again. He'd been playing with a broken hand. So he's going to be playing Saturday against North Carolina Thursday with a cast on his hand. But the defense is pretty much, if you look back at the last 2 years, same cast of characters. There are a few guys that we've added in.
Patrick Godbolt. Yeah.
Well, Godboat's been there for a couple of years now. I'm talking Aiden Weber, the inside linebacker, and Malcolm McGee, the transfer from Alcorn State who plays in the secondary. So we're pretty solid on defense. Offense, the reason we're able to run the ball, offensive line really came together. They made some adjustments. Dallas Ford had a tremendous game against Delaware State, and we really came together as a unit. The tight ends played a huge role in the offensive game. I'm talking Khalil Ellis and, of course, Keyshawn Toney. A lot of times with Khalil Ellis on the line, Keyshawn Toney is the H-back. In whichever direction they went, that was where the ball went, and Delaware State couldn't do anything with that. North Carolina Central is going to figure that out, and we're going to have to make some adjustments. It should be a really good game. They're going to be favored, but I really think we can come away with a win.
One thing, I got to go up to the press conference that they had at the beginning of the year, and believe it or not, I just found myself in the right place at the right time. I was up there early enough that I got to meet Coach Oliver, and he pretty much was telling how the expression "feeling his oats," so to speak. He said, "When you see Coach Pugh, you tell him we're going to beat his bleep, so to speak." And I said, "Oh, really?" I said, "Okay." Yeah.
Trey's a good guy. He's done a great job with Central.
All right, thanks very much. Appreciate it. 888-898-2525. Let's continue. Host free, for the most part. Lee in Greenwood, who I got a chance to meet when we were up there a couple of weeks ago. Lee, great to hear from you. You're not Lee Greenwood, who sings great American songs, but you are just Lee in Greenwood. Don't even know if you can sing.
That's right. I can't sing a lick.
Do you hear? Are we the only ones that piece that together, or do you hear that from a lot of people?
No, you about the only ones.
Okay. That shows you how
But
small our
right.
brains
I ain't
are.
mad with you.
There you go. Go ahead.
Y'all got big brains.
You got the show, man. The
Well,
show's yours for 2 minutes.
Oh, my God. Anyway, y'all was talking about Klubnik. The cat ought to have been on the bench was Shipley. I'd have benched him the minute he fumbled that ball at the goal line. He'd been done. He'd walk around the next month holding the ball because he is pathetic when crunch time. I'm telling you, he cannot hold on to the football. He fumbles, and fumbles. I just ain't got much use for that fumbling. Ball security is everything in football. And then I think Klubnik, they give him a long leash, but then he shortened it. That's a fact. But I worry about Gamecock Larry drinking too much. When he starts to talking, I swear I think he done had too much happy hour.
I think they slip a little
That's
something.
all I got to say.
Thank you, Lee. Yeah, I think they slip a little something into his laxatives at night or something, to make him happy. He's a happy guy. I just wanted to update this real quick, and then we'll take another quick phone call. Clemson in turnover margin now is 75th in the country, 11th in the ACC, but in turnovers lost, they are 98th in the country.
And lead FBS in fumbles.
And I beg your pardon?
Yeah, they lead FBS with 10 lost fumbles this season.
I've got them here with 13. Well, this is turnovers
they've
lost.
Fumbled,
that might
they fumbled 15 times. They've lost 10.
Yeah.
And that leads the country. That's a category you don't want to lead.
Oh, you're right.
To follow up on Lee's point.
130th. You're right. 10 lost fumbles. Yeah, that's pretty pitiful. All right, real quick, take another call here, and we'll take more calls after we wrap it up with Zach and do recruiting. Nick in Columbia, you can have the last 2.5 minutes of this half hour. Go right ahead.
All right, I got a suggestion for your next Twitter poll.
Go right ahead.
All right. Mm-hmm. 2 questions. Number 1, will Shane Beamer find more fashionable footwear? Or number 2, will Dabo Swinney conquer the training portal phobia?
Those are 2 really good questions. Shane Beamer was just wearing regular sneakers on Saturday, limping a little bit, but he was being a warrior with the broken foot, not showing any signs. Maybe he had that thing heavily taped, or as we were suggesting, suggesting in the press box, they had given him some really strong painkillers going on in the field. What's that about field goal clinic?
I said, was he giving a field goal clinic, or did he borrow some medicine from Gamecock Larry?
He might have.
Make it through the game.
He might have. I mean, when all you can do is kick field goals. I mean, look, they could have gone for it on those 4th downs and eschewed the field goals, but playing the strategy, he felt it was better to take the points and try and stay within reach of Missouri, which they did. Reach being, 2 scores, hoping to get a stop and a score, and then another stop and maybe another score. That's what you have to do when you put yourself in such a big hole. I tell you, that Schrader, the running back from Missouri, he is impressive. I watched the way his timing was behind his lineman. Some running backs just take the football and crash right into the line.
Right.
This guy, he just sort of waits and lets his lineman pull in front of him or open up some holes, and then he just bangs right through it.
Le'Veon Bell-ish almost.
Yeah, very nice to watch. Nick, thank you very much. We will take some more calls, I think, later. Coming up, I think Zach's got a lot to say tonight about the way things went down. We got Zach, we got recruiting coming up, so don't leave us. Be back in just a moment.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Clear and chilly overnight with the low temp dipping down to 42. Tomorrow is absolutely beautiful with sunny skies and a high temp topping out at 73. We get warmer as the week moves on, even climbing back into the low 80s by Thursday. We have no rain scheduled all week. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
Beautiful, efficient, and warm. Treat yourself this holiday season with a fireplace from Bark Fireside. Add style and comfort to any room. Choose from plenty of options, including gas, wood burning, and even electric. Located at 1131 Broad River Road in Columbia, the professionals at Bark Fireside can help you put together a custom hearth to make any house a home. Locally owned since 1979, Bark Fireside, a store for all seasons, including this holiday time of year. 803-772-7364 or on the web at barkfireside.com.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting the International Committee of the Red Cross says Hamas terrorists have released 2 hostages it had been holding captive in the Gaza Strip. It was the second time the group has freed hostages seized in its bloody October 7th cross-border incursion into Israel. The United Auto Workers Union has once again escalated its strikes against Detroit's 3 automakers, this time adding a factory that makes Ram pickup trucks for Stellantis. The union says in a statement that 6,800 members walked out Monday morning at the Sterling Heights, Michigan assembly plant, a huge profit center for the company. The move came just 3 days after Union President Shawn Fain reported progress in talks with General Motors and Stellantis, but said the companies will have to make better offers. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 190 points. More details at srnnews.com.
There's more than one kind of customer when it comes to Shooter's Choice. First, there's the customer who knows what's what, has a pretty good idea of what he or she likes. You're looking for a few things. First, a good selection. Yep, Shooter's Choice has a huge selection. Firearms, ammo, accessories, optics, even gun safes. You're looking for good and fair pricing. Oh yeah, Shooters has been around as your local stop forever because they treat you right. And how about customer service? Absolutely the best you'll find anywhere. The folks who work at Shooter's Choice are shooters and hunters just like you. They know their products. They can answer your question. And that brings me to the other type of customer. Someone maybe more like me. No expert for sure, but wants to learn from the right people. I don't need some big box store guy who works in the shoe department half a week, sporting goods the other half. I need the experts at Shooter's Choice who will treat me right, answer my questions as simple as they might be. They'll make my experience excellent. Online, it's ShootersChoiceSC.com or visit them in person on Sunset Boulevard in West Columbia. Make it your first choice, your best choice. Make it Shooter's Choice.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Shepherd's Glass has provided commercial, residential, and auto glass installation, repair, and replacement to Columbia for over 50 years. Large retail storefronts, auto, custom shower enclosures, and mirrors for that remodeling or new construction project. Visit shepherdsglass.com to see and learn more. Now with 2 locations on Flat Springs Road in West Columbia and Chapin at 855 Chapin Road. shepherdsglass.com.
Shepherd's Glass. Shepherd's Glass. A true reflection of quality.
Hey, honey, do you remember if Dad took his meds this morning?
You know, I'm not sure.
He isn't either. Keeping up with his meds is overwhelming.
You know, True Pharmacy packages medication. They showed me a sample, and it even separates them by date and time of day.
Something like that would be really helpful for Dad and for me.
Even better, it's free, just for being their customer. True Pharmacy, 1628 Charleston Highway and 3217 Devine Street. Or TrueRxSC.com.
Hey, it's Jay with the Cigar Militia, Columbia's premium cigar store. Have you noticed the change in weather? Some people call it fall. We call it cigar smoking season. Or better yet, it's football weather. Come in and check out our humidor and do what I do and get your go-to stick or try something new. We've got an awesome staff willing to walk you through and help you find your new favorite. And besides, you're going to need some celebration cigars for when your favorite team wins the big game. The Cigar Militia, 1410 Colonial Life Boulevard.
All right, we look at football from one angle. Let's bring in somebody who looks at football from a professional angle. Former coach Zach Willis joining us here once again. 1st and 10. Zach Willis here on Sports Talk. Double duty watching South Carolina and Clemson over the weekend. A lot of things not to like. Coach, welcome in. Hope you had a great weekend watching all the football, digesting it. And let's go to South Carolina, Missouri, since they played the earlier game. South Carolina, Missouri. It's hard to say they weren't prepared to play because they came out and stopped Missouri on their first possession, then drove the ball down the field on their first possession, came away with nothing. But then things went cold for the Gamecocks the rest of the half until they kicked that field goal.
Yeah, I feel like, Phil, honestly, when we talked earlier in the week, coming off that heartbreaking loss to Florida, what you don't want to do is have the same team beat you twice. And I kind of feel like, not 100%, but to a part, they were coming off of a really disappointing loss. And I think that was a tad bit of the issue, but also, they've got some injuries right now. And honestly, there's some of these games. The Georgia game was one of them. This is another one, a team that's, Missouri's really good this year. Mm-hmm. And I watched them play Kentucky earlier, and Kentucky jumped out on. Kentucky's got a good squad, but Missouri just came back and dominated them. I felt like South Carolina really lost this ballgame, honestly, in the offseason with some of the players they lost in the NIL stuff. And they just could not match up front on really either side of the ball. Their offensive line really got overmatched at times. Spencer Rattler continues to amaze me with his toughness. People try to pick apart this kid's game. Oh, well, he can't do this, and he does it, and then he can't do that. He does that. We can't run. We've proven he can run. Mm-hmm. He's proven he can throw on the run. And he's proven, too, his attitude. He's matured so much, probably as much as any player in the country. To go into a situation where you get the living daylights beat out of you, and you still shine, and you're patting your teammates on the helmet after you get the stuffing knocked out of you, shows a lot of maturity. And I'm hearing a lot of really good things from NFL scouts about him. But right now, South Carolina's at a point in their program where, they're at a crossroads, unfortunately, due to injuries and due to player defections. And they're just, I don't know if they had enough horses for that ball game to hang with a team like Missouri. And I give a lot of credit to Mizzou, but their offensive line was dynamite in that ball game.
I thought so.
Really, they really were. I mean, it wasn't, South Carolina made Florida look bad at times on the defensive line. He made Georgia look bad. But at no point did they challenge Missouri really physically up front. It wasn't that South Carolina's horrible. Missouri's got a dang good team. And Coach Drinkwitz I always thought highly of him as a coach. He's done an excellent job with that football team.
Do you think, and Spencer Rattler against Florida, he cut one loose with his legs and took off and outran part of the Florida defense. And same thing against Missouri. He doesn't run. Well, he runs a lot because he's running away from pressure, but they don't have any, if many, or many, if any, called runs for him to go down the field. Do you think they should incorporate that a little bit more? I mean, I know his arm and his passing is the important thing, but he's a good runner and he's got good speed.
He's got and I remember him coming out of high school, people talking about him being a dual threat. Well, we hadn't seen that. Well, man, you're exactly right, Phil. He's shown it lately against elite competition. Yeah, I think honestly, they're worried about injuries with him because you can't replace that cat. There's not, unless they've got, a Tom Brady Jr. on the sidelines that nobody knows about. What he's done already, even though they've lost, is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to limit the hits on him. That would be my guess. I think that the running game is there, and they need, when the numbers are there and they've got people out of the box, and I thought the other day about, hey, maybe go empty a little bit with him where there's nobody in the backfield but him, and see if you can if the run's not there, if they're going to pack the box, which I don't think they'll do. I think they'll back out and try to protect against his arm. There may be some running lanes there for him, and he can be able to get down and slide, which I'd kind of like to see him do more than he's done lately. But he's a competitor, and he's trying to win the games. But running with him is definitely an option, and with him being only 2 wins on the year, it may be time to try that, even if the risk for injury is there, which it always is.
First and 10 here tonight with Zach Willis on Sports Talk. And, Coach, you referenced the defections through NIL and transfer portal and the like, but you also hit on the injuries. And that is one question I've sort of had throughout this season with regards to Carolina. It seems like every year they're dealing with a massive amount of injuries, more so than it appears other programs are going through. First off, is it just bad luck, or is it a situation where maybe strength and conditioning is not where it needs to be? Is it poor technique that puts them in a situation where they get injured as you wind up? How do you try and describe the amount of injuries they constantly seem to have, especially along the lines of scrimmage?
Back when Will Muschamp was there, I'm not trying to dig up even worse memories for Gamecock fans, but you hit on something. And I was thinking about it Saturday, watching them get carted off the field and kids getting hurt in practice. And I don't take Beamer to be a over the top, type coach. He's I think a very good, solid, mirror image in a lot of ways of his dad. He's methodical. He's got a really good staff. I still believe that. I would have to, and I don't have access to see what they're doing in the strength and conditioning area, but the nature of their injuries is something, nowadays these people are such copycats and unimaginative. They have upper body and lower body injuries, and that's all they'll tell you now.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't really, I don't know if that's just what that's about. Maybe it's some HIPAA law. I'm in medical sales, and people get kind of crazy with that stuff, especially college people. And it's one reason I don't coach anymore. I don't know. I can't answer that question, but I'd certainly love to see the injury report and what's really going on. I remember one year we had a shoe contract, and this is just how things go. And it was I won't mention the manufacturer, but they put a cleat right on the ball joint of the big toe under there, and we had 19 turf toes that year because the cleat was placed in the wrong spot. And our trainer caught it about halfway through the year, and we tried to get new ones, but it really hurt us really badly. I mean, we had a couple of guys, that probably missed a quarter of the season on just turf toe alone. So I don't know. It can get down to that sort of thing when you're dealing with these kinds of athletes. And unless you have a medical report which say go over their lives, which I don't blame them, you don't know for sure, but definitely there's something up there and has been for a while.
Good point. Visiting with Zach Willis, 1st and 10 here on Sports Talk. All right, let's go to Clemson. And so, when you tell a quarterback to run a play and you tell him to run a play and you tell him to run that play and you tell him don't keep it yourself, you run that play, and he doesn't run that play, how does that make you feel as a head coach?
What happened? Because I'm in the dark with you because I don't get to hear the press conference. Did basically Klubnik refuse to run what he was told to run?
Well, Dabo said after the game, and Klubnik confirmed that he was directed to hand the ball off to Shipley on the fateful last play for the Tigers, but he did not. He pulled it and tried running around the left, as you saw, and he was thrown for an 8-yard loss.
The exact quote from Dabo, Zach, was, quote, "No, it was a handoff, 100%, and we didn't hand it off. He just pulled it. I got no answer, just trying to do too much. No RPO, it's a give. He just didn't give it. He made a lot of plays, but again, you got to play within the system."
Wow. Boy, that's a bad deal. Dabo pretty much, it's one of the reasons I've always, people say, well, you like Dabo Swinney, you daggone right I do, because he sat there and told you the truth. He didn't BS anybody because he doesn't. It's why he's a great recruiter, and even in a year where they're struggling, his integrity continues to shine. I'm sure he lit Klubnik up after that. If that kid does that again, it doesn't matter. You put the backup in. Because Coach Holtz said it best, one that won't do it ain't no better than one that can't do it. You might as well have a kid in there that's going to do it the right way. And I'm not trying. I think Klubnik is a good kid, but you can kind of see that in him if you watch him, guys. He reminds me of young, now take this, don't nobody get mad and period. A very young Josh Stepp, his first year with me when he transferred into Newberry, he became the best quarterback, probably Division II in the country, Harlan Hill candidate, Hall of Fame player, and All-American Conference Player of the Year. But before he was that, he would try to do too much. He put it all on his back, and it was just a great quality to have, but you've got to rein that in. And honestly, I found something within that fourth quarter that was very interesting to me. Miami was able to have that football in the fourth quarter. They ran 28 plays to Clemson 6, 9 of them being run plays, and Clemson got 6 shots and was still, had a commanding lead until right at the very end of the game. And it sounds to me like, and Clemson's had some really tough things happen. The fumble at the goal line, I ran back 4 or 5 times. It was a fumble, but literally it might have been a centimeter before his knee went down or the ball crossed the goal line when Shipley fumbled the ball. But not to give it to probably the best, even though he fumbled, the best short yardage back in the country, or one of them for sure, down there, and try to pull it and outrun a defense like Miami laterally makes no sense, and it's a selfish play. And that's what I'll do it. You can't do it. And I'm sure this wasn't in the young man's mind, but I wondered what had happened because I knew the play didn't come off right. Watching it and rewinding it and looking at it, I was hoping they'd slip 11, the tight end, out as an option into the flat, and Klubnik could have lobbed it over his head. But when you watch it, you knew it wasn't a pass because Klubnik had it tucked under his arm, and there was no threat of a pass. So both of those guys were all over him. And just a selfish play, and it cost them the football game.
Why do you think, they have a rhino package in their offense? We've seen it during games where they trot out Tyler Davis and Peter Woods, and they throw Maffa in there, a bigger back, and they have 2 tight ends, and they line up, and it's almost impossible to stop. So when they got down there, why do you think they didn't go to that package?
Well, see, you're hitting on all the things that I ran that offense. The spread offense was my offense. But I early on, when I was still up in Kentucky, coaching up there, my first year, we were beating everybody. We had a bunch of kids that could really play, but we struggled on third downs because our offensive coordinator, they did everything out of the gun. And even when it came down, I said, no, we're going under center, and we loaded up. And we got our best 2 defensive tackles that could really run, just like Clemson's got an army of them. Christian Wilkins always comes to mind for me. First national championship, I think it was. I mean, it was a celebration down there of what were they going to do with Christian Wilkins. Was he going to score? Was he going to flatten somebody? And they've got the kids to do that again. And answer your question, Phil, I will never agree. And I'm a spread guy as philosophy goes. But when you get in short yardage situations, why do you give away 5 yards to try to gain it back plus 6 inches? Plus, you got to understand, shotgun snaps, the center cannot get a launch off and knock the nose guard or whatever technique they're playing in front of him off the ball to get the line of scrimmage moving for you. And that's where everything starts, is in the middle on any run play and really any play football. So, for me, honestly, I always went back to, look, I'm going to outnumber them at the point of attack, and we're just going to shove and bully our way in the end zone. And if we don't, then we don't deserve to win the ball game anyway. But you're dealing with Riley, who's never been in this part of the country. They don't play that same kind of defense TCU doesn't. I mean, they don't face that stuff. And I think Dabo's going to have to step in and say, listen, put those 2 big boys in there, load that thing up, let Maffa 235 pounds or Shipley or both of them get in there and just run right over people. Nobody can say, look at what the Eagles are doing in the pros. I mean, it's a copycat world. Until they make that illegal, I just line Klubnik up and let there's 2 big defensive tackles shove him in the back. If he wants to run the ball so bad, let's give it to him. Right up his back and put him in the end zone. I'm sure he'd be glad that he's supposed to win. I'm not dogging the kid. Kid never lost in high school, and he doesn't know how to lose, and he doesn't understand. It is a team game, and he's got to learn that. He'll learn that. That's not a problem. But they've got to change their offense in that regard. And like you said, Bill, we've seen them do it. So it's frustrating. To see both teams lose. South Carolina didn't have they did what they could. Clemson, it's just rough. It's tough to handle right now, and I feel for them. It's very frustrating.
Tigers are not very good over their last. I saw somebody tweeted at us a stat for them, like over their last 13 games are like 7-6 and
5-5 in the last 10.
Yeah, so they've become very average before our very eyes. And can Dabo Swinney get it going again, doing it his way, which is different than most everybody else is doing, sticking to his guns and sticking to his standards? Or will he have to look? Mike Krzyzewski had to, and Duke University, they had to lower some standards to get great players. They had to do some things that I'm sure went against their nature and against their grain, but they didn't apologize for winning those national championships. Sometimes you have to do some things to be competitive, right?
Well, here's the thing. I think that they're about 5 plays away from being undefeated, and it's all mental errors, not holding it. There's fumbles, and then that's it. Turnovers, maybe 6 plays, and bad, and I don't want to see Dabo have to change. I don't think he'll ever wholesale change, but they definitely have to look in that portal for some things. I was talking to Todd Knight at Newberry about the transfer portal and how it impacted Division II football, and it's had a very interesting impact. We always had transfers, but look for high-character kids that can help your program get better. And let me tell you what, if you don't think kids that are unhappy at certain places wouldn't love to play for Dabo, you're crazy. And I think that'll become, hopefully, South Carolina can right ship because they've got a very, very player-friendly culture going there, too. You've got kind of 2 of the same cut of cloth coaches or his personality and care for their players. And I understand. I'm 100% with Dabo and what he's tried. Times if you can't beat them, you got to just a little bit for the right player. I mean, if there's a Trevor Lawrence, let's say, out there somewhere that says, Coach, I would love to play for you. I've watched you, whatever. I would hope that he would say, hey, let's give this kid a shot. It's okay to make exceptions. Nobody can say, and Carolina fans obviously want to beat Clemson every chance they get, but nobody can question his character or his care for his kids or other people's kids for that matter, during the ball game. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I've talked to a lot of coaches that never have dealt with transfers. I dealt with them all the time in small college ball, and I can tell you this, some of the best stories, personal stories, turning lives around stories were kids who had a rough time at a bigger school and came to us and found a home where people cared about them. Clemson can be that school. South Carolina can be that school. And if I'm doing a commercial for both places, so be it. I know how much they can help kids out by being a part of it, and I want to see them both be successful. Because you know what, Phil? It makes all our lives better if we're South Carolina people to see both teams winning and the Palmetto Bowl be a big, big deal, which it always is, and it makes the show better. So I'd say go for it, Dabo. You got a lot to offer a lot of people. That's just me.
Coach, great stuff. A lot to talk about. Rest up, recharge those batteries, clear the film, get ready for this coming Saturday. We'll talk to you next Monday.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you,
Coach.
Zach Willis, 1st and 10 here on Sports Talk. 1st and goal is what Clemson had. Couldn't score. Be right back.
Touchstone Energy cooperative members save more on electricity, and members save more on insurance, groceries, healthcare, restaurants, travel, concerts, and sporting events through Co-op Connections. Touchstone Energy is an alliance of the member-owned electric cooperatives, and as a member, the power is yours. Experience the power of co-op membership with Touchstone Energy and find out how much you can save on electricity and a whole lot more at touchstoneenergy.com.
South Carolinians, this message is for you, whether you or a loved one are about to receive Medicare or want to improve your current Medicare situation.
Farm Bureau Insurance's agricultural roots and ties to South Carolina farmers have shaped the company's culture and work ethic, providing a unique customer experience. Customers are treated like people, not policies. Now, while other insurance companies may have a one-size-fits-all approach to handling customers, we believe you need to be valued and treated right. Our claims professionals work until the job is done, and our agents still believe in the commitment that comes with a handshake. Call Buddy Bridges in Clinton and Lawrence at 864-923-2174 for all of your auto, home, and life insurance needs.
South Carolina's taste buds have spoken, and they're asking for beef. There are more than 7,800 farms raising cattle from pasture to plate in the Palmetto State. So whether it's steaks on the grill before the big game, sirloin medallions plated for date night, or burgers with a family, make sure beef is a part of your playbook this football season. Smoked, grilled, and slow roasted. Find the best way to enjoy your beef at sccattle.org. Beef, it's what's for dinner in South Carolina. Funded by the South Carolina Beef Council, part of the Beef Checkoff Program.
Football season is upon us, and that means Columbia is welcoming fans from around the corner and across the country. No matter where you're from, Gamecocks love coming together for game day energy that can only be found in South Carolina's capital city. Book hotel rooms, find pre- and post-game activities, and plan your tailgate spread with local favorites from pimento cheese to barbecue at experiencecolumbiasc.com. We'll see you soon, and go Gamecocks!
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
All right, 2-minute warning. 2-minute warning. I got to do recruiting. We want to do recruiting. To you by, and I'll just say about Seawells. Cal Sewell spoke today at the Tommy Moody Memorial, and he gave a very nice talk about their friendship growing up at AC Flora High School in Columbia and on into their professional years, their adult years. Said a lot of super nice things about Tommy. So when you go to the daily luncheon buffet at Seawells, you can see Cal himself and pat him on the back and tell him what a great job he did. 11 till 2 every Monday through Friday. And for catering, it's Seawells at 803-771-7385 online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. So, again, 6'2" Dale Jones of Chandler, Arizona, a native of Arlington, Virginia, committed to Clemson today. Chose the Tigers over the likes of Tennessee, Arizona State, Oregon, Ole Miss, Providence, Texas A&M, West Virginia took an official to Clemson in September. So based on those offers, he sounds like the real deal. 6'2" Elijah Crawford, a native of Augusta who played at Legacy Early College in Greenville before transferring to Brewster Academy in New Hampshire, plans to announce on Friday. Top 6 are USC, Georgia, LSU, Mississippi State, UCF, and Stanford. But I don't know that South Carolina is really in it. He did not take an official visit. In fact, he hasn't visited there in a long time. So be surprised if it's them. 6'5", Adele Tack of Grand Prairie, Texas. A reminder, she announces on the 27th, USC, LSU, Georgia, and North Carolina. Football, USC's top target, 25 class quarterback Ryan Montgomery, wrapped up his regular season Friday night, finishes the regular season 3,018 passing yards, 35 touchdowns, 69% completion. Going to go to Auburn this weekend, then to Penn State on the 11th, and his dad told us this afternoon they will not be back in Columbia until January. He visited for the Florida game, and there was talk of him coming back in November for one of those games, but Dad said nope, won't be until January. And a couple of other things from Friday. Offensive tackle Eastern Ware of Lynchburg, Virginia, has Clemson in the top 10. USC offered 2025 offensive tackle Matty Augustine of Greenwich, Connecticut. That'll do it. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, E.
It's good seeing you guys.
You too. Thank you, Chris.
Yes, sir.
Look forward to a Talking Tuesday for you. Beamer and Sweeney. See you tomorrow.